I'll request you to think of possible questions the UPSC panel is likely to ask. You put yourself in the shoes of the UPSC panel member and think of questions which can be asked in the civil service interview. So that will be a good exercise that will give you some idea about what type of questions can come, because all of you are going to put your combined brains into framing these questions, and I want you to answer those questions also. Of course, wherever you have problem, I will intervene, I will help you, but sometimes I may need your help. But there are some technical topics where some of you would be much more knowledgeable than I am. So I will depend on your expertise to answer those questions, because my own understanding is quite limited. Okay, now let us I'll just show you the first slide will give you the list of topics which I have put in my presentation, but we have approximately 2 to 2.5 hours available to us. During such a short interval, it is impossible to discuss all these topics. So what I would like to do that you please tell me which topics you would like to discuss. One topic I will discuss in the beginning. Then from out of the remaining 9 issues, you can suggest maybe through a online voting, or you can even raise your hand and tell me that you would like to discuss such and such topic. So we can discuss 4 or 5 topics today, and that's all the time will permit us. So don't think that we will exhaust the entire gamut of current affairs, because it is impossible. It is not required also, because you will get the booklet, the current affairs book you will get, and naturally you will have to do the preparation yourself. I am only trying to tell you the pattern, what type of questions, how the questions are going to be asked, and how they can be attempted. So I will deal with that rather than what I will be dealing with how. Okay. These are the 10 topics which I have put in my presentation. Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, SDG India Index. I'll tell you why these topics are important. That also I will tell you. Then Gati Shakti Master Plan, freedom of expression, Digital India rules, information technology rules, 21, very important item. Then governor's role in state universities. It's a topic which was discussed in the newspapers. Then NEET PG admissions became a fairly big issue some time back, but now it has ceased to be an issue, but questions can come on that also. There could be some other new topic like this in the days to come. So you would know how to prepare yourself for those topics. Because my current affairs book will be out around 15th of March. But after that, whatever new topics come, new discussions which come in the newspapers, you will have to prepare yourself. But I will tell you how to do it. That's all. That will be my limited role. Then Charak Shapat, 5G and 6G. There I will need some help from the. Is there any communication engineer in the group? Can raise your hand. Any communication engineer? Okay, Sanjit Gupta. Okay, I'll need your help to, for my understanding also, because I am not a technical person. I studied science, but I have not studied communication engineering. So you will have to help me in explaining some of the concepts. And making India energy independent by 2047. That is an area where I am strong, because I have worked in the energy sector, so I can talk about that. So what I will do is that you please make a note of it. You can take a screenshot of this, and then think about it, which topics you will like me to discuss. I will start with Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, because that is a very good introduction, very good, you'll get a feel-good factor is there in the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Let us start with a beautiful topic, which is not controversial, which is of interest to all of us, and which we can try to enjoy. As all of you know, this Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is dealing with the 75 years of independent India. We are going to have the 75th anniversary of Indian independence on 15th August 2022. And after that, the next 25 years, that is up to 15th August 2047, up to 2047, that is the 25-year period is called the Amrit Kal. That is a name given to that. So during the Amrit Kal, a lot of activities are being planned, but right now we will deal with the 75 weeks from 12th March 2021, it is already started, going up to 15th August 2022, which is the 75th anniversary of the independence. And after that, the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav will continue for one more year, up to 15th August 2023. On 12th March 2021, Prime Minister flagged off a Padayatra, that was the beginning of the Amrit Mahotsav. It was something like a reenactment of the Dandi Yatra. The Dandi Yatra started from Sabarmati and it went up to Dandi. It was a 386 kilometer. Of course, straight distance may not be 386, but since it went through different villages, it covered a total distance of 386 kilometers. So that was reenacted from 12th March 2021 till for 75 days it was done. It is already over. It was over sometime in March or April or June, I don't remember exactly. So with that, the program was started. Then the Ministry of Culture is the nodal ministry dealing with the celebration of Amrit Mahotsav. The Ministry of Culture, in collaboration with the Sabarmati Ashram Preservation and Memorial Trust, they have started what is known as the Atmanirbhar Incubator. This is one of the most important programs in the Amrit Mahotsav, and this is primarily meant to revive the ancient traditions. Some of the ancient traditions which our craftsmen, our workers were all following, even our industrialists were following, they were all replaced by Western traditions when the Britishers came. So now there is a thinking that our ancient traditions need to be revived. Some of them, because they have grown from our own soil. They were not transplanted from somewhere, whereas the British traditions were transplanted from Britain or from Europe. So any plant which is transplanted from another soil will not survive too long. But whereas a plant which is indigenous to that place, that soil, will have a longer life. It will thrive. So with that intention, the Atmanirbhar Incubator was initiated, and to start with, the cotton weavers of Gujarat, they were using some unique traditions and unique to themselves, and with the Industrial Revolution in Europe and with the Britishers introducing the automated machinery for cotton weaving in India, many of the old traditions died, or at least they were not, they were struggling to survive. Now, this program intends to revive such traditions. It will not be restricted to cotton weaving, it will be extended to other crafts also. Now, these are the 5 themes of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So, in case you are asked a question about what are the themes of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, you should be able to answer that, and you should also be able to explain each of these themes. So, we will in next 5 slides, I will tell you what are the details of that, but I am not going to read most of the slides. I will not read. Please, you read yourself, because it is in front of you. It will be convenient, and it will save me also a lot of energy. So as an energy saving measure, please read the slides yourself. Freedom struggle, ideas at 75, resolve at 75, actions at 75, and achievements at 75. The explanation of each of these I'm giving in the next slides. Please read it, and I'm not going to read it myself. The main thing is that there are a number of freedom fighters whose names are not known to our present generation. They are all forgotten heroes, but they have done a great sacrifice for our independence, the independence which we are enjoying today. They have also contributed, but we have forgotten them. So this particular theme intends to revive the memories of those forgotten heroes. The examples are given here. This is a short list, only 3 names I have mentioned, 3 celebrations I have mentioned. But if you look at the website of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, you will get the full list of programs which are being planned, which are being celebrated as part of the freedom struggle theme. Okay. Then ideas at 75. This is to encourage creative thinking among Indians. People themselves can contribute to ideas, contribute ideas. But, children have been asked to contribute their own ideas because they have a very fertile mind. They can sometimes come up with out-of-the-box ideas, which need not be, they may be childish in the first impression, may that this is a childish idea, but not necessarily, because there have been instances where even children's ideas have done wonders, done magic. Similarly, there are other ideas also which are welcomed by the Government of India as part of the theme Ideas at 75. I hope you are reading it simultaneously, because I know all of you are good in doing multitasking. So while I am talking, since I am not reading, you please read the slides yourself. I hope you are read it. So I am going to the next slide. Next is resolve at 75. Now, the progress of the country is not only the responsibility of the Government of India or the state government. It is a responsibility of each one of us. So each one of us have to resolve that we will contribute towards nation building. We will try to build a super India, a great India, about which all of us can rightly feel proud. So with that in mind, this type of programs are being organized. Okay, I hope you have been able to read the full slide. Next is actions at 75. This again, some programs have been chartered by Government of India. Okay. Programs are being chartered by corporate India also, and also by the civil society organizations, and even individuals can come up with ideas and actions. One of the initiatives taken already, which we will be discussing, is the Gati Shakti Master Plan for multimodal connectivity. Similarly, there are many other action points about which you can read in the website of Atmanirbhar Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Okay, we'll move to the next slide. Achievements at 75. We have done a lot of work. We have achieved a lot. We were a very poor country. We did not manufacture most of the things. We had to import almost everything from outside. But right, that is not the situation today. Today, we can manage without imports in most of the sectors, except probably the oil sector. All other sectors, we are able to manage without any imports. Of course, there are some other areas also where we had to depend on import, like pharmaceuticals or electronic industry. Some import has to be there, but that is okay because we are exporting also. But we have achieved self-sufficiency in food grains. We have our health sector is quite in a position to take care of the health of most of the people. Our education institutions are doing well. Of course, there is a long way to go. We can't feel satisfied that we have done well, so let us take a rest. There is no time to take rest. We have to keep on working. But at the same time, we know that we have achieved a lot. With that in mind, we have started some celebrations. Recently, a few days back, we celebrated the National Science Day on the birthday of Dr. C.V. Raman. Similarly, Prime Minister had launched the Shrestha Yojana during the Mahaparinirvan Divas. Mahaparinirvan Divas is the death anniversary of Baba Saheb Ambedkar. On that day, this program called the Shrestha Yojana, that is an educational program, scholarship or hand-holding program for the bright students of scheduled castes. You can read about Shrestha Yojana. I'm not going to explain in detail. My idea was to give you some lead into the topic called Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Now I will request you to discuss it. Okay, now I am going to ask this question. You have gone through the slides of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. What type of questions do you expect in the UPSC interview? Anyone of you can open your mic, switch on your microphone and talk. Frame questions and share the questions with the rest of the group. Then we will discuss. We will find answers to those questions also. Okay, please come forward.
Hello, sir.
Okay. Who is there?
Sir, this is Swaroop.
Okay.
Sir, the question was asked to me in my last interview.
Okay.
So, what are the achievements of India in 75 years? This the same question was asked to me in my last interview.
Very, very good. This is a question quite commonly asked. And the beauty about this type of questions is that there are no answers to these questions. Because certainly you are not going to give the complete list of achievements India has made. You have got only 2 or 3, maximum 3 minutes, but normally it's 1 minute or 2 minutes. In 1 or 2 minutes, there is a limit to which you can answer this question. Okay, can you tell me what was the answer you gave? Swaroop?
First achievement I gave as we are able to uplift millions of people out of poverty.
Okay.
Secondly, we are able to establish our foreign policy, independent stand of foreign policy, irrespective of following any of the blocks. These were only 2 I was able to answer at that point of time.
Okay. Okay. Now you keep quiet for some time. Let me listen to the other participants. Other participants, if you this same question was asked to you, what answers you would have given? Any one of you can volunteer to answer. All of you can face this type of questions. I have also been asking when I was conducting the mock interview. I was also asking this type of questions. Okay. Sanjit Gupta, yes, please.
There are a few things that I can remember is one is the Indian space program.
Indian
that
space
is
program. Okay.
lauded very highly. And then there's strong industries. I mean, some specific industries that we have mastered or we are in, for example, the pharmaceutical industry, the automobile industry, and the service sector as well.
Yeah. Steel industry is the one
Steel
which
industry.
we started with. We started with the steel industry. We're done
Yes,
with
sir.
it. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now next is
Sir, another achievement.
when I just those who have raised the hands, I'm
Okay.
Jami Sridat.
Yes, sir. Sir, we were able to achieve
Don't
universal
repeat what is
immunization.
already said.
Yes, sir. In the healthcare sector, we were able to achieve vaccination program and
Okay, there is a
eliminate some
recent
diseases, sir,
okay.
such as
But the
neonatal
earlier one
tetanus and
also.
polio.
Polio has been eradicated.
Yes,
Smallpox has been eradicated. This also yes, you can. Okay, GBK. What is GBK? Can you give a name to that?
Bharat, sir. Bharat.
Okay, Bharat. Okay,
Yes.
Bharat. What is your answer?
Sir, I think from the service sector, we have become one of the leaders in BPO sector. Sir.
Good.
That is one.
Good.
And the nuclear policy, which we have taken, despite many sanctions coming from the foreign government, but able to take the stance on nuclear policy. So these two.
Very good. Okay, Shravan.
Sir, we are able to continue to be a democracy from the last 75 years.
Oh, very good answer. Very good. In fact, I was expecting this from the this should have been the first part of the answer, that we have proved ourselves to be a dependable democracy, a reliable democracy, a democracy which we are not surrendered the democratic principles in these 75 years. It's a very good answer. Okay. Anybody else? Others?
Sir, at the time of independence, our literacy rate was around 11 to 12%, and now it is about 75 to 77%. So we have improved a lot in the literacy rate in education.
Okay, good. Okay. Sonal, this will be the last. We'll stop here.
Sir,
Sonal, there is some problem. There's some problem about your microphone. Okay, we'll go to Nilesh Singh.
the leader of developing and least developed countries in the international
Your
forums.
voice is breaking. Can you put it in the chat box? Can you type it in the chat box? I'll open the chat box also. You can type it there.
Sir,
okay. Nilesh, Nilesh also has to. Nilesh, please stop. We can't hear you. Please put it in. Please type it in the chat box.
Okay.
Okay. Now, while they are both of them, Sonal and Nilesh, are typing it, let me tell you the approach to this type of questions. But that is the purpose of my class today. That see, I am not going to give the answers to you, sir. You already given the answers. Now you are given nearly 10 answers. Now, in a typical UPSC interview situation, you will not get time to give 10 answers. You cannot have 10 points. So you have to prepare yourself to answer, say, 3 at the most 4 points. 3 points, normally you will get time. 4 points, you may be able to add. Okay, and let me read the replies given by Sonal and Nilesh. Sonal has written, "We are a leader of developing and the least developed countries in the international forum." Yes, that was partly answered. The same thing was mentioned by somebody else. So our foreign, we have sound foreign policy. Okay, Nilesh Singh, on renewable energy front, India is leading the whole world through its unique initiatives like International Solar Alliance. This also, okay, this is a good answer. All these are good answers. I am not saying that any of these answers is wrong. The only thing I am telling you is that you will not get time to give 10 answers, 10 points. So you have to prioritize the points. Whatever is your priority, that is good enough. Nobody will question your judgment. But your judgment, if you are in a position to establish that your priorities are, you are on the right track, your prioritization, your shortlisting of the points is sound enough, you will get good marks. Nobody is going to say that you didn't say this, you didn't say anything about foreign policy, so I will not give mark. No, nothing like that. If you have given 3 points, like say democracy is a very good thing to start with, then you can talk about the poverty elimination. You can talk about that. You can talk about the self-sufficiency in food production. You can talk about the foreign policy. But again, you have to decide yourself, what are my priorities? What are the 4 points I will like to mention as part of my answers? You may immediately come up with the 10 points. That is not difficult. Because to write a long answer is easy, but to write a short answer, it takes a lot of time. You must have heard the famous answer given by Harry S. Truman. Once Harry S. Truman, then the President of India, President of USA, he was asked how much time you take for preparing for a speech. He said, if it is a 5-minute speech, I need a week's time. I'm not giving the exact quotation, but it's something on the same those lines. If it is a 5-minute speech, I need 1 week's time. If it is a 15-minute speech, I need 2 days time to prepare. If it is a half an hour speech, I need 1 day. But if you need a 1 hour speech, I'm ready. That is the problem with the civil service interview also. In civil service interview, suppose if you are asked a question and if you are given half an hour to answer that question, you have no problem. I know that all of you would not have any problem to talk about foreign policy for half an hour, or for food problem, food security, you can talk about it for half an hour. All of you can do that. You're all good students. You have qualified in the mains and you hope to qualify for the interview also. You are all good students. So you are all capable of doing that. But an answer which can be given in half an hour, can you reduce it to 1 minute? That is a challenge. That is what we are going to train you while we are going to do the interview guidance program. I am not going to spend time on that, because you will, when you attend the mock interviews, we will be explaining the complete steps, the series of steps which you can take to have a good interview. We will train you for that. Right now, you only understand that you have to prioritize your answers and give 3 or at the most 4 bullet points. They should be brief. They should be to the point, very, very crisp answers. If you can do that, you will get good marks. Okay. Any other question which any of you can think about? Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav? Any other question?
Sir, Swaroop Tingare also wanted to,
Okay.
he wanted to ask the question live.
Those of you who have raised hands, please lower your hand.
Hello, sir. Swaroop
Okay,
here.
Swaroop, yes.
Sir, my question is regarding the counter question was asked to me for this question. Sir, I told that democracy, foreign policy, poverty, and literacy.
Good,
These
good,
are some
good.
of the
It's
important.
okay. Okay,
But-
you are the best judge. Don't worry.
But sir, counter question was asked like we are performing poorly in educational outcomes and human
Yes.
development outcomes. So how you can justify your answer? So this was
Okay.
the counter question.
Okay. This again, these are all subjective thing. Nobody can give a hard and fast rule to that this could be the best answer. This is not a good answer. There is nothing like a good answer and a bad answer, because this is not interview. Civil service interview is not a test of your knowledge. It is a test of your personality. So how you think, how you arrive at the answer, that is more important than the answer itself. The process of reaching the answer is more important than the answer. So if the civil service, the UPSC panel will be looking at your thought process rather than the result of the thought process. Keep that in mind. So whatever answer you have, whenever this type of questions are asked to me by students, I refuse to give answers, because if I give the answer, that is my answer. Suppose this question is asked to me by somebody, I will give an answer. I know the answer, but that is not your answer. That does not show your thought process. It shows only my thought process. So I will not give answers to any of these questions. You can think about this question. My idea is only to help you in finding the answers, help you in modulating your thought process. Your thought process, the path which you take, that is important. Your destination is not important. Don't worry about the answer itself. Okay.
Yes.
So you can think of any answer. Any answer is good enough as long as you are able to present it properly.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Anybody else can think of any question on other Azadi Kamar Mahasa? Otherwise, we can move to the next topic.
Sir,
Yes.
good morning,
Tina.
sir. So they could ask about what your vision is for the next 25 years.
Okay, very good, very good. If you are in charge of designing Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, what are the components you are going to put in it?
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
This type of this is the type of question. Yes, you can. This type of questions can ask. I also ask this type of questions in the interviews I have been conducting.
Yes.
What is your thought process? What if you are made in charge of Ministry of Culture has asked you to design Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav? What are the components you would like to put it in? Already the 5 themes we have discussed. Okay. In addition to that, will you like to include any new areas? Okay. What answer you will give, Tina?
Sir, I find it a difficult question because we have to be creative, but at the same time, we also have to make adjustments for the reality of where we live in right now, sir.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so
Okay. Let me interrupt you here. So,
yes,
Tina, one thing which I'm talking to all of you together, not only to Tina, you should understand the intention of the member who has asked this question. What is he or she expecting from you?
yes, sir.
He is not expecting a list of items to be showcased before them. That is certainly not the expectation. What do they expect? How strongly you feel about India as your motherland. You want to project India. You want to celebrate India. You want to celebrate the independence.
Yes, sir.
All of us were not at the time of independence. Even I was not born when India was independent. I was born in the Republic of India. So, and none of you have any idea about independence. But suppose if you are in charge, you are asked to celebrate independence of India, how will you look at it? What will be your emotions? What are the emotions you will be passing through? That is what the member would be expecting from you. So this type of questions, you must put in some emotions in your answer. It will be very good if you can make an emotionally appealing answer, which shows your love for the country, which shows your concern for the country, which shows your vision for the country. Think of it. I don't have to give the answer. Think of it and try to visualize an answer which would be appealing to the person sitting in front of you. That person also should share the same kind of emotions. These are all emotional questions. To see how emotionally strong you are, how much love you have for the country, how you feel about the country. Are you really proud of your country, or are you disappointed about your country's performance? Here I will like to tell you that since you are all trying to become civil servants, you should be optimistic in your approach. Optimism should not give way to frustration or negativities or pessimistic thinking. Please don't do that. Please don't be critical of the government in power, the party in power, or even the previous governments. Please don't be critical, because you are trying to become government employee, government servant, government officers. So you have to be proud of your country. You have to be proud of your government. You have to be proud of yourself. Okay. So never allow any negativity to come in your answers. Think positive. Always think positive. Think optimistically. That optimism should reflect in your answers also. You must give an impression that yes, there are a lot of things to celebrate. There are a lot of things to be included in the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. But of course, you cannot list all of them now. So prioritize and again give 3 or 4 important points. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question? Or shall we move to the next topic?
Yes, sir. I can think of one question.
Okay.
Sir, what challenges we may face?
One last question. Okay.
What challenges we may face in achieving the targets we have set during the Amritkal period, sir? And whether these targets are realistic or not?
Okay, fine. Okay. Give me the answer also.
Sir, I can think of reasons such as rising inequality and less spending in human capital formation. These may be posing challenges to us.
Okay. Answer as if you are sitting in the hot seat.
Sir.
Suppose I assume that I have asked this question. How will you answer this?
Yes, sir. I didn't get the questions.
Give the answer. Don't repeat the question. Answer. Give the answer.
Yes, sir. We can increase our spending in
No.
healthcare and education.
When you say we can, that is not the answer. You are answering. You are answering the question in UPSC.
Sorry, sir.
Okay. Now this you practice it. Practice it. How you have to answer. You have to say. I'll give you one very important tip for answering this type of questions. You are all very good in writing essays. You already written 2 essays in your mains examination. You are all very good in writing essays. How do you write an essay? An essay consists of 3 parts, basically. It has to have an introduction, it has to have a conclusion, and between this introduction and conclusion, there will be a number of points which form the body of the essay. Okay, this is how you write an essay. All of you are familiar with this drill. All of you are good in that. Now think of, you have written 150 word essays and 250 word essays in your mains examination. think of a 50-word essay or a 40-word essay. Can you do that? But it will follow the same pattern. It will have, there should be an introduction, there should be a conclusion, and there should be points in between. But since it is going to be a 40 or 50-word essay, you don't have the luxury of being verbose. Verbosity you have to avoid. Just put bullet points. You are also good in writing bullet points in your presentations. So use that technique. Just to give simple sentences, very short sentences, each sentence not more than 10 words. So if you have 10-word sentences, how many sentences you can give in a 50-word essay? Five sentences, isn't it? Now, these 5 sentences, there should be an introduction, there should be conclusion, and there should be points in between. Same pattern as the essay. How can you do that? A 1-sentence introduction, a 1-sentence conclusion, and 3 sentences in between, which become the body of your answer. Practice it. Take some questions which some of you might have already faced if you have already appeared in the civil service interview, or you can ask some friends at what type of questions were asked, or you can imagine some questions, you can visualize some questions, then try to give a 5-sentence answer to those questions. Assume that you will be given time only for 5 sentences. You may be given more time, then you can add more sentences, no harm, but most of the time you will not get time for more than 5 sentences. So practice writing, or rather speaking, 5-sentence essays, which will become your UPSC interview answers. Practice it. Each of these questions which we have discussed today, you can convert them into 5-sentence answers. But those 5 sentences should be very, very, and there should not be any overlap, should not give more than 1 sentence for each point. Don't allow any verbosity in your answers. Very crisp answers you give. And if you can practice that over the next 1 month or so, you will come up with a good technique to answer the question. We will also help you in our mock interviews, and you will have classes on how to prepare for the interview, how to present yourself in the interview. You will have classes on that. And in the mock interviews also, we will tell you what are the problems which you are facing, how to overcome those problems, all these things we will tell you. Today, I am only telling you that to start your preparation. Start preparing short answers to these questions and speak them and record them, listen to them. You can record it in your mobile phone, then play it and listen to it. If you feel that, yes, I have given a good answer, then most of your work is done. But if you are not satisfied with your own answers, try to improve upon it. Do a little more thinking, do a little more, you're all very good in précis writing. So use those techniques of précis writing to condense your answers into beautiful 10-word sentences, and then you will be happy about your own performance. Practice it, and then, okay. So we will move to the next topic. Can you tell me which topic you would like to discuss? Which of the, yes.
So this is Reena, sir. I had a question to ask from what you mentioned earlier. Sir, is it okay if we are idealistic in our answers?
Idealistic, yes, okay, but you should be practical also.
Okay.
If you are going to be a practical administration, you may have wonderful ideas. If they are not practicable, what is the point in having beautiful ideas?
Yes.
Or beautiful ideals?
Yes.
Okay. Be
Okay.
practical. Be
Okay.
practical and be balanced.
Okay. Sir. Thank you. Sir.
Which topic you will like me to take? Any of this I can take.
Freedom of expression.
Okay.
SDG.
Pardon?
SDG, Sustainable Development Goals.
Sustain. Okay, both these we'll take both these. Okay.
Thank you,
Then
sir.
some of you can think of other topics also. Time permitting, because it's already 12 o'clock. We have taken nearly 1 hour for one topic. It doesn't matter, because I ideally three or four topics we will discuss. Rest of it you can discuss with yourself. You can do a brainstorming within your own brain. That's also possible. We'll go to freedom of expression. It's a very hot topic, and it's a very favorite topic in the UPSC interviews. I will discuss two aspects of freedom of expression. One is the regulation of digital media, and one case study of the ban on Media One channel. These two I have, but there are many other areas. Like, I'm not going to the legal issues, because legal issues will be discussed tomorrow. Tomorrow there will be one of the topics tomorrow is going to be sedition law. The sedition law in India, that will also overlap with the freedom of expression. So the legal issues you can discuss with Mr. Sarvesh Kaushal tomorrow. Today I am going to take the rules in respect of regulation of digital media on the one hand, and the other one is a case study based on the regulation of digital media. So with that, we will stop today. Tomorrow, then you can have the legal issues. Some legal issues I will be covering today also, but most of it you will be able to discuss with Mr. Sarvesh Kaushal. Okay, regulation of digital media. Okay, okay. Sorry, I think there is some problem. I note. Before that, the regulation of digital media. Okay, I'm going to discuss this first. Okay, when we talk about regulation of digital media, the current affairs in relation to that is the information technology intermediary guidelines. Sorry. And digital media ethics code rules 2021, which came last year, and it became a hot topic. Still, it is under litigation in the Supreme Court of India, and in different high courts also. I believe Supreme Court has asked all the high courts to transfer the litigation to Supreme Court. Some of the salient features of the 2021 rules I have listed here. It's a fairly long set of rules. I won't ask you to go through the entire rules. I tried to go through the rules. I also found it so intimidating, so I left it. So I just depended on the important issues which were raised in the newspapers. Due diligence that must be followed by intermediaries, including social media intermediaries. What is social media intermediary? That is defined in the rules that we will come to in the next slide. Then each intermediary is to appoint a grievance officer to deal with the complaints. I have a slide on grievance redressal mechanism. We will discuss more details when we come to that slide. Then intermediaries are expected to remove or disable access within 24 hours of receipt of complaints of contents that expose the private areas of individuals, show such individuals in full or partial nudity, or in sexual act, or is in the nature of impersonation, including morbid images, etc. Such a complaint can be filed either by the individual or by any other person on his or her behalf. This is the complaint redressal, and then there are certain legal recourses which are there in the rules. We will deal with some of them. I will not deal with the entire set of rules, because that is that I will not have time to do justice to it. So we will deal with some of the more important things. Again, suppose if you are asked question about it, you don't need to know the entire set of rules. It's not necessary. You only need to know the important points because you won't get time to answer 10 or 20 points. So you will, at the most, you will be able to cover 5 points. Even 5 points will be difficult. What is social media intermediary? That is defined in the Act and at the rule also. Please go through that. There are 2 types of social media intermediaries. That they are basically the service providers. Social media intermediaries and significant social media intermediaries. The distinction between these 2 is based on the number of users. Now, after these rules were issued, rules were notified, government also came up with another notification setting the limit to distinguish between what is social media intermediary and what is significant social media intermediary. The threshold limit is 50 lakh users. So any intermediary which is catering to providing service to less than 50 lakh, they will be called social media intermediaries. If the number of users is more than 50 lakhs, it becomes a significant social media intermediary. So significant social media intermediaries have certain additional responsibilities. They should have a physical address in India, published on its website or mobile app, or both. Users can verify their accounts. The account should be demonstrable, and the verification should be the result of the verification also they should be able to get. Sorry. Then government can prohibit information in the interest of sovereignty and integrity of India, public order, friendly relations with foreign countries, etc. When we come to the case study, we will discuss that in more detail. You can stop me anytime if you want and ask questions. Okay, but I want to complete the presentation, then we will go to the discussion and questions. Compliance mechanism is given elaborately in the rules. The significant social media intermediaries are expected to appoint, in addition to the grievance officer. Grievance officer is common for both type of intermediaries. In addition, the significant social media intermediaries are expected to appoint a chief compliance officer responsible for, it will be his responsibility to ensure that the Act and rules are complied with. Then there should be a nodal contact person for 24/7 coordination with law enforcement agencies. There should be a resident grievance officer. There should be a compliance report every month. It is to be given to the ministry. There are 2 ministries which are involved in the ensuring compliance. One is the MIT, that is the Ministry of Information Technology. The other ministry is the Information and Broadcasting Ministry. Depending on the type of media, it will be either MIT or the Information and Broadcasting Ministry, IB. It is there in the rules, but you can make out, you don't need the rules to tell you, because depending on the type of, if it is purely a digital media, it will be MIT. If it is a news or entertainment channel or then the ministry is the INB ministry. Then enable the social media area intermediaries, particularly the social medias like WhatsApp, Twitter, etc. They are expected to enable the identification of the first originator. There may be a number of forwarding. One message which has come on WhatsApp or Facebook or some other media, they will be forwarded by hundreds of people, thousands of people, and it will be very difficult to find out who started this. If it is a fake news, or if it is a very highly distasteful kind of a post, government will be interested to find out who started it. The intermediary should be in a position to identify who is the originator, first originator. Now, first originator is also a very ticklish term because it is possible that the video or the information or write-up or whatever it is has originated in a foreign country. Now, ministry cannot do anything about that. Ministry cannot take action against a foreign resident. So there, the definition of first originator is whoever did it in India, whoever did the first posting within India, that person will be the first originator, not the first originator abroad. So that action will be taken against the person who brought it to India. Okay. Now, the intermediaries are also, like we talked about the nudity or other objectionable type of displays in the social media, WhatsApp or maybe even the platforms, OTT platforms like Netflix, Prime Video, Prime Media, etc. So where there, it will be humanly impossible to identify an objectionable content. Now, you cannot you cannot have sufficient number of officers to sit and go through each presentation, each movie or each news item or each video and identify the objectionable content. So they are expected to use they don't use the term AI tools. I have used it AI-based tools, but the term used in the rules is automated tools. Without human intervention, the tool should be in a position to tell you that there is an objectionable content in this particular video. Then, of course, somebody can watch it and find out. But the tool has to be provided by the intermediary. Of course, it is a subject matter of dispute because even if you have AI-based tools, they are not foolproof. They can make mistakes. So that is another issue which is being challenged now. We will come to the issues subsequently. Now, coming to the grievance redressal mechanism, earlier there was in the 1999 rules, that was the original rules, there was no robust complaint mechanism wherein the ordinary users, these were not user friendly. If the user had any complaint against an intermediary, there was no forum which the user could approach. There was no built-in solution for a grievance from a user. Now, in the new set of rules, they have provided a 3-level grievance redressal mechanism. Level 1 is self-regulation by the publishers. And so suppose if you are a complainant, you have some complaint about some of the contents in that social media, you can go to level 1. You can approach the publisher, that is the media which published that document or the medium or the video, whatever it is. And you can say that there is an objectionable content in your such and such video, please remove it or please edit it. You can say that. Now, they are expected to take action within 24 hours and there is a time limit given in the rules itself that is immaterial for us. So within that time frame, they had to take action and they had to either remove the content or they had to satisfy you that your complaint is not with base. Now, if you are not satisfied with the explanation or the action taken by the publisher, Then you can go to level 2. There, each type of media is to have a self-regulating body. If it is OTT platforms, they are supposed to have a common self-regulating body. If it is social media, they have to have some other kind of a self-regulation. But depending on the type of media, there will be self-regulation by the medias themselves. And sometimes, of course, they are also insiders. So sometimes you may not be satisfied with the solution provided by them. The grievance, the redressal, you are not satisfied with that. Then you can go to the oversight mechanism. It is the level 3. What is oversight mechanism? Okay, before we go to the oversight mechanism, let me also tell you about the publisher obligations. Each publisher of any social media posting has to. We are talking about the OTT platforms, where movies are shown or serials are shown. OTT platforms are supposed to do a self-classification because they are not they are not going to send their content to the censor board, to the board of film certification for classification. In the case of movies, of course, there is a provision, but the movies which are shown on the OTT platforms or other content which is shown on the OTT platform, unless it is a movie which has been certified by the board of film certification, it has to be self-certified by the OTT platform. They can divide it into 5 categories: UA 7+, UA 13+, then UA 16+, and A for adult. And parental lock has to be suggested, and facility has to be provided to the user. Suppose if some parent wants to lock it for their children below the age of 13, that provision should be available to the user. Then the certain classification rating has to be shown before the beginning of the broadcast. Then in addition to the self-discipline imposed by the industry on itself, they are also bound by the norms of the journalistic conduct or the Press Council of India and the program code under the Cable and Television Networks Regulation Act. Now, this is another controversial issue because if in the case of printed media or television channels, they are bound by their own existing set of rules. They have already been regulated. Now, the social media is a new entity. It was not there earlier. When they have come, they have been disciplined 2 ways. One is they are already bound by the original code, which was applicable to the print and television media. In addition, they are bound by certain other set of rules which govern their performance. So this has been challenged in the, I don't know whether it is in the High Court or Supreme Court, but it has been challenged in the appropriate court. Some people are going to the local High Court, some have gone to the Supreme Court, but a number of cases are now pending before the Supreme Court and the High Court. Probably High Courts may have transferred the cases to Supreme Court. We are not bothered about that. We will wait for the Supreme Court to take a decision. So far, there is no decision. Now, one issue here I would like to bring to your notice is that suppose you are a print media. You are owner of a print media, let's say Times of India. You also have a TV channel. You also can have a social media channel. You have Times Now. Similarly, there are many other print media which also have social media or digital media. Now, suppose there is a conflict between the content of the print media and the digital media. Will you take action against both? There can be situations where you have put some material in the print media. Exactly the same thing has been put in the digital media also. Now, in the print media, the regulators of the print media say that it's okay. We have no complaint about your content. But in digital media, they say this content is objectionable. The same content, one regulator says it is objectionable. Another regulator says it is not objectionable. So what should be your course of action? This is also being challenged. This is also being discussed in the Supreme Court. We have to wait for, but you please think about it. What if this type of questions come, what answers you should give? Please think about it. I am not giving you the answer. You have to think of the answers yourself. And the oversight mechanism, you should understand it because this is the government mechanism. Everything is given to the two ministries, either the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. In the case of oversight mechanism, it is mostly the Information and Broadcasting Ministry because it is dealing with the social media, not exactly with the digital media. If it is digital media, it will go to the IT ministry. If it is in social media or the OTT platforms, it will go to the INB ministry. There is an interdepartmental committee for hearing grievances. It is chaired by a joint secretary in the ministry concerned. Then I think it is the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Joint Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting is the chairperson of the interdepartmental committee. Then there are supposed to be charters for the government will lay down the charters. The regulating bodies can adopt the charters. They can make changes, but they have to adopt the model charter given by the government. Then some codes are also given in the rules itself. In the rules itself, there are code of conduct given, and the regulating bodies and the social media intermediaries are supposed to follow those codes. You can read the codes if you have time, otherwise don't bother. These are very simple things, so you don't need, even if without knowing that, you can answer the questions. Then the ministry also issues guidance and advisory to publishers. Ministry will appoint an authorized officer who will deal with the complaints, who will deal with the oversight, and of course, then he will make the authorized officer will prepare a report about the complaint, about the grievance, and submit it to the interdepartmental committee. The interdepartmental committee will go through it and see whether there is any violation of the code of ethics, and then submit a report to the higher body, which is the Secretary, Information and Broadcasting. And the decision is taken. Decision should be taken by the secretary concerned. Now we go to the issues. You will be more concerned about it. More than the rules, you should think about these issues, because these are the issues which are now subject matter of the litigation in the Supreme Court. So you should be aware of that. You can form your own views on this. We will discuss this in a little detail because this is a very important topic for your interview. So you should be able to discuss it in detail. I will not say your idea is wrong or anything. There's nothing like a right and wrong idea. You are entitled to your views, but you should be able to logically explain it. Now, WhatsApp had moved the court to oppose the rule to identify the first originator. I told you about the concept of first originator. It can be the first person who, it is the first person who started it in India. So now the problem WhatsApp is facing, most of you, I think all of you must be using WhatsApp. The problem which WhatsApp is facing it because they are duty bound or they have volunteered to encrypt the messages end to end. That is a commitment which they have given to all of us. All of us who are members of the WhatsApp groups or we are using WhatsApp social media platform, WhatsApp has given us a promise that there will be end-to-end encryption. Now, WhatsApp is prevented from breaking that encryption. They cannot decode the encryption and find out who is the original, who is the person who started it, who is the one who started the fake news or posted the objectionable video. They have no means to know it. So they said that we are duty bound not to do it. But you are asking us to do it. So there is a conflict. Please think about it. Don't give answers now. We'll discuss in more detail. Some of you who have more knowledge about digital media can talk about it. I am a user of digital media and social media, but I'm not an expert. So you can help me in answering these questions. Then compliance officers, they are also human beings, and they are under the rules. They can be penalized for the crime committed by somebody else. Somebody has posted an objectionable content, and compliance officer has not been able to comply with the rules strictly because he has limitations, but he is going to face the music. Is it justifiable? Is it reasonable? That is a question which has been raised in the court. Then digital news media platforms were not consulted before. There was consultation with the print and television media, but digital news media platforms were not consulted. So they have raised this issue that we were not consulted before we were asked to regulate ourselves. Then the draft rules were not put in the public domain. Over-regulation and censorship. There is disproportionate punishment. There is disproportionate regulation. Quite often, in the case of print media, this issue was there from the very beginning. There are a lot of regulations were there, particularly during the emergency period. You must have read about the over-regulation during the emergency period. But now, most of the print media is self-regulated. There is the Press Council of India, which has representatives from the media. Of course, it is chaired by a retired Supreme Court judge, but there are also representatives of the media as members of the Press Council. So there is some kind of a self-regulation. Then they also have their own mechanism of self-regulation. Similarly, the television channels, they also have their own self-regulation mechanisms. So when we are disciplining ourselves, why are you trying to enforce discipline on us? Why are you trying to regulate us beyond a certain level? Over-regulation is resented, and it practically amounts to censorship. When the OTT platform is supposed to do a classification of the content, that is as good as censorship. We should not be allowed in the game, because after all, the parents have the discretion to allow their children to watch them. Why are you preventing the parents from using their discrimination? They can use their parent locks, child lock can be introduced. That facility is there. So why are you forcing us to regulate ourselves beyond a certain level? And why are you asking us to censor ourselves? Then condition, there are many terms which are vague and they are not defined in the rules. Normally, these terms are defined in the Act, but Act does not give the full definitions. It is possible that rules may give the definition, but that is also not being done. These are left vague. Conditions such as good taste, decency, prohibition of half-truths, these are not defined anywhere. Then Another plea taken in the Supreme Court is that OTT platform should have the freedom to decide on the composition and working of the self-regulatory mechanism. After all, it is self-regulatory mechanism. So why are you imposing regulation on us when it is a self-regulation? Then continuing with that, a residence grievance officer of a significant social media intermediary is required to notify a user before removing the content posted by such user with reasons, provide them with an opportunity to dispute such action, and give the complainant its reasons for the decision taken in response to their complaint under Rule 4. Grievance officers for other intermediaries do not have such requirements. Now, there's a clear distinction made between the significant social media intermediary and other intermediaries. Now, the offense may be of similar nature, but significant social media intermediaries are supposed to take some extra precautions, are supposed to take some extra actions, which is not expected from the lesser intermediaries, this is again it is denial of level playing field, which is questioned in the Supreme Court. Then the time limits for compliance are also not practical, is another complaint. Then another thing is that there's a provision in the rules that the objectionable the data, any data which is coming in the social media platform has to be stored for a period of 1 year or 2 year, whatever, some period is mentioned there. Now, the issue which has been raised by some of the social media intermediaries is that suppose if we store them for a very long time, there is a possibility of data leak. Somebody can steal that data, then that will be a violation of the data protection promise which we have given to the users. We have told them that your data is encrypted, it will not be revealed to anybody, but there is a possibility that it can be stolen. And in India, we do not yet have a digital a law for data protection. That is, the draft law is there, but it has not been enacted so far. So that will create a problem at how to deal with data protection. How do we store it and use it at a later stage? There could be a violation. Some of the other legal issues which have been pointed out by the in the Supreme Court and High Court is that in 2021, when the rules were notified, they were challenged in the High Courts of Bombay and Madras, and both these courts have stayed the operation of the 2021 rules. But government has been taking action under these rules. We'll deal with the subsequent case law, which also uses an implementation of the 2021 IT rules. That is, the government is going ahead with implementation in spite of the stay. Then, in spite of the stay, the publishers were asked to provide such information as the name of the publications, contact information, and details about their grievance redressal mechanism. All these are violations of the stay. That is the argument. Then legal distinction between a physical newspaper and its online content. I already talked about that. The same content may come in the physical newspaper, same content may come in the online version, but regulation is different for both. Then another thing is that the rules give power to various functionaries, including the Secretary Information and Broadcasting on Oversight Mechanism and other details. normally in government functioning, the rules do not create power. The powers are already always given in the Act. It is for the enforcement of the Act that the rules are made. The rules themselves do not create an enforcement mechanism. Enforcement mechanism is provided in the Act. That is the normal practice. But in the present case, this is providing the powers are given under the rules itself, which is a violation of the legal principles. Okay, now we take the case study and then we will start the discussion on this. Ban on Media One channel. It's a very short case study which is still going on in the court. This is a Malayalam language television channel which is operated by a group owned by the radical Islamist organization Jamaat-e-Islami. They got their license in 2011. It was supposed to be renewed after 10 years. That is, in 2021, it was supposed to be renewed. They submitted the renewal application well in time to the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. The ministry referred it to the Home Ministry because intelligence clearance is to be taken, intelligence bureaus clearance, and there are other clearances to be given by the Home Ministry. But Home Ministry refused to give the clearance. So when Home Ministry did not give the clearance, the INB Ministry said that you cannot operate because you don't have clearance from the Home Ministry, stop operating. So the channel had to be shut down on 7th February 2022, just 1 month back. Now, they challenged it in the Kerala High Court. Kerala High Court upheld the sentenced ban on 8th February. And in the judgment, it was mentioned that natural justice principles and court intervention in circumstances of national security have a very limited role. The adverse inputs given by the intelligence agencies were of serious nature. About this media channel, they say that we were not told about the objectionable content. So how do we know what is objectionable, what is not objectionable? You should have told us. But so the court said nothing doing. If the Home Ministry or the Intelligence Bureau says that it is objectionable, it is objectionable. You cannot do it. Now, this is, sorry, my battery is running out. Let me connect the. Just 1 second. I'm taking a 5-minute break. You can also take a 5-minute break, but don't leave the link. Keep the link on. I have to connect my. Okay, after 5 minutes, I'll join you.
Oh, okay, sir. After 5 minutes, all the students are here. Shivangi, you can mute yourself. Shivangi, you can mute yourself. Request to Shivangi Goyal to mute herself.
Okay. Okay, I'm back. Let us finish this, then we'll. Okay, I'm through. We can start the discussion now. What type of questions you can expect? Shall we start?
Yes, sir, we can, sir.
Okay. Okay, who will start the discussion? You can think of questions. Any one of you can come forward. Shivangi, if you don't answer, then I will call your names. Okay. Kinneri.
Yes, sir.
Please,
Good
please.
afternoon.
Okay.
So my question, a probable question that comes to my mind could be how to strike the perfect balance between privacy and the IT rules.
Okay. What could be your answer?
Sir, in my opinion, during the judgment by the Supreme Court, the privacy judgment, one of the bases on which the right to privacy can be curbed was there should be a law.
Yes.
In the case of IT rules, the question that arises here is that the rules go ultra virus the law, the IT law of 2000.
Yes.
So I think that again would depend on how the Supreme Court decides on the issue.
Okay. I'll give you two suggestions. I'm not giving you the answer as such, but I'll give you some two sources from which you can prepare this answer. One is that you please go through the Aadhaar judgment.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
The
sir.
Aadhaar judgment which deals with the privacy.
Yes.
The second one is that go through the draft data protection law. It is there. It is there in my. I think it may be there in the current affairs ready reckoner. Maybe it is there in the previous one. You can get the earlier ready reckoners also. The old one, if you ask Dr. Patil, he will share the old ones. So there is a write-up on the data protection law, the draft one. So that also gives a lot of material on privacy issue. But if you go through the Aadhaar judgment, you will be very clear in your mind about what is the court's view about privacy.
Okay.
So let us not discuss the answer. Let us discuss the questions.
Okay, sir.
What other questions could come? Anybody else? Okay. If you don't have any question, then we can go to the next topic. Okay, let us go to the next topic. I think some of you wanted to discuss this one, governor's role in state universities.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This could be of interest to all of you. I will not take much time. We will quickly go through this. This issue was in the newspapers and the media channels also discussed it. That the Kerala governor Arif Muhammad Khan, he said that he doesn't want to continue as chancellor. He is the chancellor of all the universities in Kerala. That is the case with other governors also. Most of the governors are chancellors of all the state universities. The statute itself, the statute which created the universities itself mentions that the governor would be the ex officio chancellor. Now, he alleged that there was undue political interference in the appointment of the vice chancellor of the Kannur University. And then there have been other cases also about appointments where Chancellor was never consulted because probably they found him inconvenient. And most of these decisions were taken by the party in power. Now, what type of questions can come on this? We'll go to the next slide also, and then you can think of the type of questions which can come. Some other states also have a similar problem, that in West Bengal, the Trinamool Congress government in 2019 curtailed the powers of governor in appointing vice chancellors and to take action against them. That is practically the governor is not functioning as a true chancellor. Then Odisha Universities Amendment Act brings appointments to universities in the state under the charge of the under the purview of the state government. Then Maharashtra legislature, recent one, 28 December 2021, passed a bill curtailing the powers of the governor in the appointment of vice chancellors in state universities. Now, we are not bothered about Arif Muhammad Khan or the Kerala government. We are not concerned about that. We are concerned about the principle. The issue is not ex-governor or ex-state has created a problem. That is not the issue here. The issue is, as potential civil servants, are you happy with the state government or the ruling party controlling the universities, or do you want the governor to have a say in running in how the universities are to be run? That is the issue. You can have your own views on that. All of you have been in the universities. You must have also seen political interference in the universities, and you can form your own views. Do you want a discussion on this? You can discuss now. Otherwise, we can go to some other topic. Let me go through the chat box. Some other topics are also mentioned in the chat box. Energy independence. Then somebody else, Bharat has mentioned, because we have the aspect of hijab and other issues associated with it. Associated with what? Governor's role. Now, hijab issue will be discussed tomorrow. It is in the list of Mr. Sarvesh Kaushal, so I am not going to discuss the hijab issue today. You can discuss it tomorrow. You can request Mr. Kaushal because it is a legal issue.
Sir, this is Tina Krishnan. Sir, for issues such as this, whether it has to do with university or hospitals, would it be, is it a correct way to attribute all these issues that are mostly to do with governance or administration to a problem of federalism?
Yes, it is. It is definitely an issue of federalism. Now, see, we all know that governors are always appointed by the government of India. So the party in power in government of India will have a say in the appointment of the governors. Quite often, we know that all members of the ruling party are appointed as governors. We know that. Yes, there is nothing to hide because we all know this ground situation. Yes, now, whether it is a right thing to do or not, we can have our own views on that. I am not going to influence your views. You can have your views. I will have my own views. I am not going to enforce my views on you. I am not going to impose my views on you. You can have your own views on that. That is one aspect. The second aspect is, should there be adequate powers with the state government to run universities or whatever they want to do? Should there be any third party intervention promoted by the government of India? Will it not affect the very principle of federalistic structure? Please think about that. You all studied polity. you all know about the concept of federalism. Try to think from the point of view of the principles of federalism, whether this type of intervention by the government of India in the state affairs, because university is purely an affair of the state.
Yes,
A state level university, I'm not talking about the central universities. If it is a university in the state, whether this government of India is justified in interfering in the affairs of the state through the medium of the governor. Please think about it. Don't give answer to this. Think about it. You can have your own answers. Each one of you can have a different answer. Doesn't matter. No answer is wrong as long as you are able to give a logical explanation of that. If you think that the governor should continue as the chancellor of the universities because it protects the universities from political interference, you are right. If you think that the state government should have a better say in the universities administration, you are also right. So there is nothing right and wrong there. But please come up with good logical explanation. Okay. Some of you may be thinking that yes, after all, it is a state subject. Why can't the state manage the universities? After all, it is for the state government, the chief minister and the ministers or the MLAs, they have been elected by the people. Let them decide what is good for the people. Why should a person from outside the state decide what is good for the state? This is an argument. Okay.
So,
you may agree with it or you may disagree with it. Don't worry. Okay. Yes, please.
But the governor was just pointing out an irregularity in the appointment as per the rules, right? So
yes, you're right. You're right. It is there in the statute. When a university is created, it is created under a statute.
Yes, sir.
Statute passed by the state legislature.
Yes, sir.
Okay. State legislature has created the statute and the state legislature itself is violating it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So
there
does
is
that
a
amount to
contradiction.
interference?
Pardon?
So does that amount to interference of the governor? He's just pointing out a fact.
You are right if you say yes. If you say no, then also you are right.
Okay.
Please think about it and form your own opinion.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you can say that the statute was created by the state. State is not justified in violating it. State can change the statute.
Yes, sir.
Some of the states have done it. That is why I put that slide. That the Odisha government took away the powers of the governor. Okay, fine. They are entitled to do that. But while the statute is in operation, can the state government violate it?
Yes.
And that's another question.
Okay, sir.
There is a problem that, okay, you have created the rule, you are violating it yourself.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Please think about it and also think about it from the point of view of federalistic principles. Then you will get good answers to this question. Okay. Okay, now you want to discuss energy independence. Shall we go to that slide?
So before that, if you would allow, I'd like to ask something.
Okay.
So in general, we are used to reading newspaper columns wherein we generally have a critical understanding of things. And suppose if we consider the question of censorship in the IT rules,
yes.
If such a question is posed to us, I have seen a general trend in myself that I tend to give more critical analysis. As in, I say that, yes, it is leading to censorship. So when we are sitting in the interview, should we have a more optimistic approach? As you said, that we should also define how it balances the privacies of different people.
Optimism has to be there. Balancing also has to be there. When it comes to the country's future, you should be optimistic about it. But when it comes to matters of law, then you have to take a balanced view. The government can be wrong also. It is not. Otherwise, if the government is right always, then why is the Supreme Court interfering? Like in the case of the Aadhaar case also, or in the case of the that recent one about the what is it? That app used for surveillance. Forgetting the name.
Pegasus, sir.
Pegasus software. The Supreme Court disagreed with the government of India. Now, if you support the government of India, then you will be going against the Supreme Court's verdict. How do you, whom do you support? My answer would be that don't support either of them. You don't have to necessarily support the government, but you at the same time don't be too critical about the government. That is all what I'm saying, because you are going to be civil servants. So civil servants normally do not criticize the government. But you are not criticizing the government when you say that it could have been done in a better way. Suppose even in the case of Pegasus issue, suppose if you say that the government has done something wrong by purchasing Pegasus, you don't know whether government has purchased Pegasus or not. Nobody knows it. It has not come out in the open whether government has actually purchased. Government is denying it, so you don't know. So if you say that if the government has purchased Pegasus, they are in the wrong. If you say this type of things, then it will be a kind of a negative approach. My advice to all of you, since you are going to be civil servants, my advice to all of you is that the same answer can be given in a positive way also. Your answer may be negative, but try to present it in a positive way. Suppose how you do it, I'll tell you. Suppose if you say that government has done something wrong, that is a negative statement. The same thing you can say that government could have done it this way. That is a positive approach. Got it? When you say government did it wrongly, this action taken by the government is wrong, that's a negative statement. When you say government could have done it this way, that's a positive statement. Both mean the same thing. But your approach, since it is a personality test, your personality should reflect positivity. Try to avoid negativity in your answers. Even if you want to say something negative, say it in a positive way, so that your personality is not looked down upon. Nobody will say that this person is very negative in his approach. Please don't give opportunity to the board to think that you are negative. Okay, this is what I wanted to tell you, that your answer is not important, but how you answer is important. Same answer you can give positive way, negative way also. Okay, let us go to energy independence. I think that will be the last slide. We will not be able to take up any more issues. Let us see if we have more time. I will stop at 1:30. Before that, if there is any time available, then we will discuss one more issue. But otherwise, that is the end of it. Now, why I put this in the I put a presentation on this is it is coming in my book also, that Prime Minister had made certain statements on 15th August. Every year he has been making some statement or the other. Now, each of the point raised by the Prime Minister in his speech on August 15th, a question can come in the interviews. So please go through the statement of the Prime Minister on the Independence Day. Also, the Prime Minister had made some statements in the United Nations General Assembly. Please go through that. You can expect questions on each of the issue raised by the Prime Minister in any platform. Okay. Now, one statement which he made there is that on 15th August 2021, that India today is not energy independent. Energy imports in the country account for an average of 12,000 crore rupees a year. Energy independence is vital for India's development. Hence, today, India must resolve to become energy independent in 2047. And our roadmap is very clear on this. He has laid a roadmap also there. So he has also mentioned, be it a gas-based economy, a network of compressed natural gas, natural gas across the country, or a target of 20% ethanol blending, India is moving ahead with a set goal. The work on 100% electrification of railways is progressing rapidly. Now, he has given some kind of a roadmap. It's not a very clear roadmap, but he has given some ideas about the type of roadmap we have to follow for reaching the target of energy independent 2047. Now we can elaborate on that. We can do some loud thinking on each of these issues. That is what I've done in the next 2 or 3 slides. Indian Railways has taken some action. Indian Railways has set a target of becoming net zero carbon emitter by 2030. So you should understand what are the steps taken by the Indian Railways for achieving the net zero carbon emission by 2030. A total of 45,881 road kilometers, approximately 71% of India's Indian Railways broad gauge network has been electrified by March 31, 2021. So it is possible that 100% electrification may be done in the next few years. The central organization for railway electrification aims to connect all broad gauge routes to the grid by December 2023. That is, by December 2023, almost 100% electrification will be completed. The Indian Railways is planning a mix of electrification, improvement of energy efficiency of locomotives and trains, green certification for installations and stations, bio-toilets in coaches, and a switch to renewable sources to achieve net zero carbon emissions. Indian Railways announced in August 2021 that it has begun developing hydrogen-powered trains. Now, these are the things which you should know, and depending on your background, you should work more on this. Suppose if your background is, say, electrical engineering. If you are electrical engineering, naturally, they will ask you technical questions on this. What are the bottlenecks in Indian Railways achieving 100% electrification? This type of questions can come to you. Or if you are very good in environment, suppose you are talking about environment, then they may ask in what way Indian Railway electrification is going to contribute towards climate change, towards improvement of our air, our atmosphere. All these questions can come to you. Then you can, based on you all studied these things. You have had a paper on climate change. You have it as part of your syllabus. You have studied about environmental science also. So that knowledge you can use in answering this type of questions. My purpose is not to give answers, but only to tell you what type of answers can come and how you can approach those questions. Then green hydrogen, you should know, each one of you should know what is green hydrogen and what are the steps taken by Government of India to achieve the targets of green hydrogen. And of course, when we say green hydrogen, it means that it will not create any environmental problems. 15th August 2021, that his speech also said that there will be a national hydrogen mission. National Thermal Power Corporation is seeking proposals to set up a project on hydrogen blending with natural gas across India's city gas distribution network. Now, this type, I am giving some examples here. You can collect more examples from different websites, from different newspaper sources or different ministries. You can collect information and put it in your answers. Then give some examples on what is being done by Government of India to achieve green hydrogen targets. Chart Industries Incorporated, based in the United States, and Reliance Industries in India announced in April 21 that they were joining forces to create India Hydrogen Alliance, India H2 Alliance, IH2A, which facilitates the commercialization of hydrogen technologies and builds net zero carbon pathways in India. Now, these are only examples. I don't stop with these examples. There will be many more examples. If you do some internet search, you will come across many such examples. Keep a note of all these things and embellish your answers with this type of examples. That is what I will like you to do. Okay. Then where do we stand? Now we are thinking of achieving energy independence by 2047, but where have we reached? The picture is not so happy. Prime Minister had made a similar announcement in 2015 also, and set a target of reducing crude oil import dependency by 10% by 2022. But what actually happened in the ground? Instead of reducing imports by 10%, this proportion has continued to increase since 2015. Since PM's earlier call for import reduction in 2015-16, India's annual crude oil production has dropped to below 30 million tons, and imports increased to 226 million tons by 2021-22. It has crossed to the $100 billion, which was there in 2019. It had reached $105 billion. It has already crossed it. It will cross in 2021-22. And 2022-23 also is not going to be any better. Now, the type of questions you can expect in this, what would be your roadmap? What type of a roadmap can you think of reducing India's dependence on imported oil? Can you think of substituting imported oil with hydrogen? Can you think of importing and replacing imported oil with the solar energy? Can you replace it with wind energy? Please come up with answers to this type of questions also. And all of you are quite knowledgeable about this. You must have already done a lot of work on this. So put all these things in a basket and come up with a beautiful answer. This is how you have to approach this type of questions. The answer you have to create yourself. You can, we can give you a lot of material. The Ready Reckoner, which I am preparing, will give you a lot of material. You can collect the material from the internet also, from the newspapers also you can collect. But don't forget that you have no time to put all the entire basket. You cannot present before the UPSC board. You have a big basket, but out of that basket, you take out only the best fruit and present it to the UPSC. Okay, there may be 100 apples in your basket, but if you present the entire basket to the customer, they are not going to buy it. They want only 2 or 3 apples. So you have to take the best apples out of these 100, take out the best apples and give it to the customer. That is the UPSC board. That is the technique of good UPSC interview. Okay, now any questions on this? Okay. Do you want me to take any other issue? Any one more topic we can cover if you are not asking questions? Otherwise, if you want to discussion, fine. Otherwise, we can go to some other topic. Is there anything on the chat box? There is nothing. Whatever you have put in the chat box, I have covered.
Sir, we can take 5G and 6G also.
5G and okay, who is that? I couldn't see your face.
Sir, Sachin.
Sachin, what is your subject, Sachin? What is optional subject? What's
sir,
your
my option philosophy, sir.
Okay, what did you study in the university?
Sir, electronics and communication.
Okay, then you had to help me because I am not an expert on 5G and 6G. Whatever little I could understand, I have put here, but you had to help me. Okay, there may be other communication engineers also. In fact, you can give a lot of material to the others also. I'll just give you some material which I could collect from various sources. I'll just go through it and then we will have the discussion. Why this became a current issue is because the minister, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, IT minister, he made a statement in the parliament that indigenously developed 6G technology is suspected to be launched either by 2023 end or early 2024. So I made it a current affair because of that. Otherwise, 5G is not exactly a current affair. It was a current affair 2 years back. It was there in my old Redressal, but now 5G has ceased to be a current affair. But then when the minister made an announcement of 6G technology, suddenly 5G also has become a topic for discussion. That is why it has come in this slide. Development of a core software for indigenous 5G technology is to be completed by the third quarter of 2023. See, 5G, introduction of 5G technology is still not complete. Most of our villages don't have 5G technology, even our towns also. I don't have 5G on most of you may not have 5G on your mobile phones. 5G may be there in the Wi-Fi. Am I right, Sachin?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you tell us about the difference between the technology of Wi-Fi and mobile phone?
Yes, sir. Actually, first I'll little bit tell about 5G itself. Actually, 5G works on a higher spectrum, broadband spectrum.
Okay, well, shall we complete this presentation? Then we'll go to that. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Some of these things may be there in the presentation itself.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And then you should have some idea about the telecom sector reforms, recent ones. Government gave telecoms telcos an option to go for a 4-year moratorium on payment of deferred spectrum. So you should have very good idea of what is spectrum. That also Sachin may be able to tell us in more detail, but all of you should know what is spectrum, what are the different bands in the spectrum, what is low band, what is high intensity band, all these things you should know. What is wave, what is 4G, what is 5G, what is 6G, all these things you should know. The compatibility of various bands, all these things you should know. And then Bharti Airtel and Vodafone Idea opted for 4-year moratorium. Jio didn't opt, maybe because they were new at that time and they didn't need it, but now they have also opted for the, not for moratorium, but they have started paying the tax on the unpaid dues. Bharti and Vodafone, they have already, Vodafone have converted part of the dues to equity. And now the Government of India is the major equity holder of Vodafone Idea. Bharti Airtel refused to give the equity to Government of India. They said, we will continue to pay the interest on the dues. Reliance Jio got some relief from the Supreme Court, so they are in a much happier situation. FDA through the automatic route for telecom sector was raised to 100% from the 49% earlier. 5G trials were begun during mid-2021, and the Department of Telecommunication granted permission to Bharti Airtel, Reliance Jio, Vodafone Idea, and MTNL in mid-21 for conducting 5G technology trials with a validity period of 6 months that has been extended further. Then the technical details, I will give you whatever I could understand, but I'm not expert, so Sachin has to help me in that. 5G occupies broadband frequencies at sub 6 GHz and above 24.25. Actually, the definition of 5G varies from country to country. In some countries, it is 30 GHz and above. In India, it is 24.25 GHz and above. That is considered 5G. So that again, Sachin can enlighten us. This is called, if it is below 24.25, it is called low band, and above 24.25, it is high band. 6G will operate at 95 GHz to 3 terahertz. At those wavelengths, 6G will deliver speeds 1,000 times faster than 5G. And 5G itself was about 4 to 5 times faster than 4G. Though at that time when 5G was introduced, they were saying that it could be 100 times faster than 4G, but they could not achieve it. There are some limitations. We will go to the technical reason for that later. Low band offers great coverage, but its speed is limited to 100 Mbps. Most of us are not happy with 100 Mbps. I am using a 200 Mbps Wi-Fi, which of course is not in the low band. Hence, it can serve commercial needs, but not industry needs. Mid-band offers greater speed, but not a great coverage area and signal penetration. High band, which is the mm wave, that is the millimeter wave, offers exceptional speeds up to 20 Gbps, but is extremely limited in coverage. That means it cannot travel beyond a few kilometers, maybe about after every 1 kilometer or so, they will have to have another tower to relay the signals. So it has a very short coverage. This band greatly enhances futuristic 5G technology applications like IoT, that is Internet of Things, and smart technology, but will require considerable infrastructure. We will need many more towers, many more signal relays. For a proper 5G launch in India, the allocation to various bands will have to be tightly balanced. Now, one thing is that now before coming to the disadvantages of 5G, let me also say that all the disadvantages of 5G will be there with the 6G also. But the advantage with the 6G is that once the problems of 5G are solved, we are also solving the problems of 6G. For example, when we create the 5G infrastructure, practically we are also creating the infrastructure for 6G. If I'm wrong, Sachin can correct me. This is my understanding. I may be wrong, so you can correct me. Then disadvantages of 5G are limited global coverage, because many countries may not have 5G. Many countries may be more advanced than we have in India. I have faced a similar situation when I went to Japan I think it was in 2010. When I went there, I had a 2G mobile phone. I could not use it in Japan. Though I had international roaming enabled, I could not use it in Japan because Japan had already moved on to 3G. So fortunately, some of the members of my team had 3G enabled mobile phones. So I had to call my office and my home using their mobile phones. So this type of problems would be there. Compatibility problem would be there. Global coverage is limited. It won't travel as far when compared to 4G, because 4G is a low band, so it will cover more areas. Tall buildings and trees may block the frequency of the 5G network. It requires more towers for coverage. Rain can also cause problems to 5G coverage. Mobile phones will need better battery technology. Sachin, you can explain that why it is so.
Yes, I will explain it, sir.
Expansion in the bandwidth enables criminals to steal the database with ease. Moreover, it uses software that leads to vulnerable attacks. And the last slide I'm going to show today. Fiber connectivity, this is the ground reality, that only 30% of India's telecom covers are fiber connectivity. For an efficient 5G launch and adoption, this number should be at least 60%. Ban on some of the OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, some of them have been banned in our country because of our indigenization drive. So, but many of the 5G hardware is not manufactured in India. We had to depend on imports, but that is creating a problem because the imports are banned in such equipments. At rupees 492 crore per megahertz, India's 5G spectrum pricing is several times costlier than global average. Rationalization of this pricing is needed so that government generates adequate revenue from the auction without hampering implementation plans for 5G in India. Government is, I believe government is already doing it. When the next spectrum auction will come, probably they would take care of this issue and they will make much more level playing field available to the telecom companies. Okay, now I am stopping here. Sachin, you can take over and give your technical comments.
Sir, I'll just mention few things. Majority of things you have mentioned, but just mention few things that you have mentioned. Frequency division. I'll mention the name of the spectrum that it works in. Okay. It works in EHF spectrum, basically. That is extremely high frequency zone, which is from 3 gigahertz to 30 gigahertz. If someone they ask you that, okay, in which spectrum 5G works, it has to be EHF spectrum. Plus, when you increase the frequency, so noise is also increased. So what is going to happen in 5G that you, like you mentioned in your point, that buildings and trees also going to interrupt the signals. So you need to have more number of towers. And in India, there is also a psychology that, you know, towers are not, that signals are not good for human health, even though there is no proven study over it. But, you know, people's psychology is such that, and even some rules say that you cannot have towers in residential places. So that is also going to be one more problem. Plus coverage is also, you know, higher cost you also will have to pay, because it has to be new systems will have to be developed. In case of like mobile phones have to be equipped. So it has to be only for the affordable and majority cities, the NCR region and the big city region. Plus the companies, the telecom sector, if you happen to see, it is already is in a debt situation. For example, we have recently seen the merger of Idea and Vodafone. It was majorly because of the debt, because they have not been able to overcome the debt of 3G that they had invested. So it is going to be a little competitive market. And if we happen to see, and few more things that another thing that was in the news, I remember, was because of the spectrum price that they were talking about. And if we happen to see what is the spectrum, that is the transmission bandwidth that is there. For example, in India, we happen to work in the range of between 3.6 to somewhere 6 gigahertz. So in between, there is a space that is allotted to each like company intermediary that like Jio had asked for it, and then it is allotted like in that spectrum they can work. So some issues are there with respect to this, and even government has worked for it. They have auctioned it multiple times so that we can have a better service with respect to this. Plus we had also delayed our working, because if we happen to work in case of 4G, if we see that, you know, 4G had come to other countries, even Pakistan had in Pakistan 4G had come before than India, which is, you know, not a very good sign. It shows that we are lacking behind. But in this time, we are spearheading with the 5G like mode of transmission. But also there have been conditions like Huawei is the company, Chinese company, who owns like majority. There are two US based companies or the China based companies who are expertise in telecommunication. So Huawei has been banned by US, as well as India has also not allowed Huawei to work for, you know, 5G. But Airtel had signed a pact which is not really in working as of now. Plus if we I think this, plus also there will be another issue that the like there was a mention in your that, you know, that mobile phone battery would be required more, because the antenna size increases in the mobile phone. So when the antenna size increases, the battery consumption automatically increases for, you know, higher frequency ranges. So these are small things that matters. Plus there you need to have more power capacity also, because more towers also will be there, and signal to noise ratio would also be increasing with 5G. So many issues are there, but again the speed that you are getting in 5G is, I think, extremely very good, like, but still I think we will improve on it.
Oh, okay. Right. Now, any questions from the other participants? If I cannot answer, I will ask Sachin to answer. Okay. That is how we function. That nobody should think that he or she is a know-all. Nobody knows everything. Okay.
Yes,
any questions? Any discussion? Because then I'll let me tell you why I want you to discuss it, because this type of questions will come, whether you are a communication engineer or not. A communication engineer like Sachin will be able to give a technical answer. But a non-technical person from other backgrounds, they will also get the similar questions. Then they should at least know how to give a layman's answer. You don't have to give a technical answer. But like my understanding is also like I'm also layman as far as telecom is concerned. I don't have much idea, but I try to understand. I do have science background, so with that it helped me a little bit. But if you some of you may not have even science background, so your understanding will be limited to what a common mobile phone user will have. You're all mobile phone users. You all have technical competence in sending messages, editing messages, and so on. You all must be doing it already. So try to understand the significance of all these actions. You may not go and use technical jargon, but even without using technical jargon, you can give beautiful answers to this type of questions. At least the issues you will be able to understand. Why it is so. Sachin has explained things beautifully. Read more about these things, try to understand, and whatever you have understood, put it in a proper language and present it before the board. When we conduct the mock interview, I also been asking questions on the telecom, 5G, 6G, and all these things. I've been asking 6G, of course, came only now, but I've been asking questions about 4G and 5G and all that. It's not because I understand everything, but I know that if you give me an answer, I will know whether you are right or not. That much I know. So that is going to be the situation in UPSC also. These people sitting, there could be a communication engineer in the UPSC board. I'm not discounting that possibility, but even if there is no communication engineer in the particular UPSC board you are facing, the chairman who would be.
Sir, I will like to add one more point in this, that there is one more technical word that is called latency.
Oh, and yes, I didn't put it because I didn't understand it.
Okay. Yes, sir. I was just I thought I missed out some points, so I was just recollecting.
You can explain that. Yes.
Yes, sir. Because I had not prepared for 5G, 6G, so I was impromptu. I had to speak. So
no, doesn't matter. You gave a beautiful explanation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So actually, latency is basically when you send a WhatsApp message to someone, let's say, or you try to connect to someone. So there is a latency. Latency is the amount of speed between the sending and receiving information. Okay. It is the latency rate basically.
Okay, like when you are watching a TV news discussion, people are waiting for the question. After the question, after a few seconds, the answer comes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's exactly the latency, because communication happens in packets. If we happen to see, there are different modulation techniques that are there, but it happens in packets. So one packet reaches to other. That is called the latency rate. That is how much time that packet, the signal or the information is receiving and you are sending. So that is the latency rate. Now that is very reduced. If we happen to see in 3G, if I tell you, the latency rate in 3G. It was in milliseconds, like 200 milliseconds it was there for 3G. But when we come to 4G, it is somewhere around 10 milliseconds. And in 5G, it will be, 0.1 millisecond or even very less. So this latency or the fast communication that will happen, that is really fast. So one is the speed of download and speed, that is the bandwidth that we are having, plus also the latency is going to improve. So you'll have a very clear communication with anyone. So this is like one technical term if anyone wants to.
Good that you explained it well. So, see, this type of knowledge will be useful. Suppose if you are discussing use of robotic surgery.
Yes, sir.
You cannot have latency there.
Right, sir.
It's very, very important to have minimum latency. Or maybe even consultation. Suppose if you are consulting, like you must have read about the NSE, National Stock Exchange scam.
Yes, sir.
Ramakrishna's case and all that. Of course, that will be, details will be there. I didn't want to put it because it is still emerging. So, but there the people have taken advantage of the latency. They have made money out of it. Some people were given their they were allowed to put their terminals very close to the National Stock Exchange, so they didn't suffer latency. Some others suffered, so people made millions out of it. The knowledge, when they came to know, when they got the information a few milliseconds or nanoseconds before the other competitor, they could make money out of it. Because they are not the ones who take decisions. The decisions are taken by the algorithm. The algorithm is very fast in responding to information. We may not be able to respond. We may take a few milliseconds to respond, but the algorithm will not do it. Algorithm will immediately take a decision to invest in a particular share or not, which we may not be able to do. So people have made crores out of this type of delays. Please read about that also. You must be prepared about NSE stock exchange scam. I wanted to discuss it. Maybe in my next time when I repeat this discussion, I will have a few slides about the NSE scam also. I'm not fully prepared for that, but you please read it. Okay, I think we can stop here. I think Dr. Patel or Sandeep Trivedi, you can wind up now.
Okay.
So one question has come.
Okay, please.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Saab. You have given us a very good suggestions and your views on the major issues related to national current affairs. And I hope our participants will definitely going to be benefited how to tackle these types of questions in interview board. Thank you so much. You have given us a valuable time from your busy schedule.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Namaskar, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, now I had to make. Okay, I am the host right now, so I'll stop it.
Okay, thank you, sir.